Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and I'm coming to you with another Garage Gun Talk video. And tonight, I want to talk to you guys about 3 guns that I took to the range and shot for upcoming range reports, and kind of give you my initial thoughts and first impressions with these before I actually do like the proper garage range report stuff that you guys see on my main channel. And so the 3 guns I took today were an AMT Automag and 30 Carbine, an HK P30SK with the LEM trigger, and the Q Minifix. And that's kind of the order that I shot them in today. So let's go through these. The first one I was actually a little bit hesitant and scared to fire because you guys told me in the comments section when I showed off this gun a few days ago that this thing was going to be a flamethrower, and I was assuming it was going to be crazy loud with lots of recoil. However, this is a very awesome gun to shoot. It's very soft recoiling. It is a flamethrower. I mean, you do get a big ball of fire that comes out of this, but this is a real pleasurable gun to shoot. It's extremely accurate, and unlike what a lot of you guys were saying when it came to these Automags, that they were kind of jam-o-matics, this thing ran great. The only issue I had with reliability on this was when I tried to shoot it fast the first time. I would go through about 3 rounds and the slide would lock open, and that was it. And then I'd shoot 3 more rounds really fast, the slide would lock open. But then the second magazine that I put through this, it ran all 8 rounds just fine. I only had 1 magazine for this review, so I wasn't able to do like a quick magazine change, and any other issues that may have come from reliability or possibly the magazine, but I didn't have any other thing to test it against. But as I said, the gun ran really, really good. A couple things I did notice about it is, I guess just because the size of 30 Carbine and its length, this grip is very long from the front strap to the back strap. Kind of weird. I can see if you have very small hands, this is not going to be a comfortable gun to grab and get your fingers around. But for me, it's okay. I do wish it was a little bit smaller, but maybe they can't make it that way because of the caliber. When it comes to the trigger of this, it has almost no wall, but it's not bad. It's a very light trigger. It's very nice with no grit. But let me see if I can show you here. I normally don't do this on my camera phone. You pull this back. All right, there we go. See, there's no wall. You cannot stage this thing at all. Like, just back a little bit. I mean, right there, maybe. And there it goes. So that's just something. And I knew that going to the range because I had dry fired it here on the workbench. I was kind of aware of that. Even though you can't stage the trigger very well, the gun is very, very accurate. And I like the trigger a lot, and I can shoot it quite fast. Recoil, as I said, is extremely low. This thing is a flamethrower, but it's not all that loud. Not all that loud at all. Just a great experience with this really cool and rare and historical gun. I really enjoyed it. The other thing that was really interesting, and I double-checked at the range, and I did like the video preview to see if it was catching it, but the 30 Carbine, which I'm assuming coming out of a barrel of this length, because it's designed for a 30 Carbine rifle, is probably traveling a lot slower. And the range that I shoot at the 25-yard distance, that is rated for 308. Okay, so you can shoot 308 rifles at that range. So 30 Carbine is well below what the range is capable of when it comes to ballistics and stopping the rounds in the bullet trap. But the rounds, as they would hit the bullet trap in the back, they would spark like crazy. And in case you're wondering, I was using tool ammo, so it's that Russian steel case stuff. But I really didn't think I'd have much of an issue. I mean, if this thing was like a rifle, caliber, full power, I'd be a little bit concerned. But just 30 Carbine out of a pistol, I was really surprised by when it hit the bullet trap, all the sparks it was throwing. It wasn't like on every round. It's just I noticed it and I caught it quite a few times on camera. But this was a real pleasure to shoot, and I thought it was going to be, as many of you guys were telling me, a jam-o-matic, loud, what this is an awesome gun. It really is. And I didn't think it was going to work right. I mean, whoever thinks about putting 30 carbine in a pistol? But this thing worked fantastic. I just wish I had another magazine for it. Besides that, great little gun. I shouldn't say little gun. That's kind of a big gun. All right. Next, at the range, I shot the HK P30SK with the LEM trigger. And I showed this off before. But with the LEM trigger, your hammer is down. It's kind of a mix between single action and double action. With barely any effort whatsoever, you can have that hammer come all the way back to a wall, and then it will release. Now, if the slide doesn't reciprocate, it is in true double action mode. But if the slide does reciprocate, it's kind of partially cocked, and you have that kind of pre-staging of the hammer. And this is a little bit different when it comes to triggers, and it takes a little bit to get used to. You really can't feel where it's going to break. It's not as predictable. It's really a cool design and a cool mechanism. And I would see that if you decided to have a gun like this, you kind of have to commit to it and shoot it a lot. Because if you're used to double action or single action guns or both, this is neither. And so when it came to the accuracy for me on this gun, honestly, it was all over the place. And when I do the review of this gun, the range report, I'm going to have to probably say and do one of those goofy things where when I do like the further distances, I'm going to have to say, don't say it. Don't say it. Do not tell me I need more training. The groupings with this gun literally were all over the place. And I was kind of disappointed with it in that perspective. In that I was really diligent, very careful. I really did take my time with it. And I know that you guys have seen my range reports where some guns I shoot amazingly and some I shoot terribly. I already know that this video will get a lot of views, and mainly from people that are not subscribers to my channel. And so they're not going to have that perspective. So the first thing they're going to do when they see like the further distance where I have a group above kind of the bullseye, a group below on the same magazine, they're going to go get more training, and not realize, hey, this gun just, for some reason, it ain't just working for me. And I was real diligent with it. Close up, it's okay. It's a naturally shooting gun. With the HK grip, of course, you get the Batman grip, so you can change out the back strap. You can change out the side panels. Maybe that would help me a little bit. But I kind of feel like the sights, which are the original ones, which have the phosphorus or whatever it is, they gather the light and they store it for a little bit of time. They're not true night sights. They're just the ones that come on it from the factory. They're okay. That could be one of my reasons why I did not shoot this gun very well. Besides, maybe this doesn't fit my hand as well, and the gun has a very short sight radius. My groupings with this gun were not good at all. So I'm going to have to tell people in that range report, don't say it. I will ban you. Don't tell me I need to go get more training, because I shot this gun like a tack driver, and I shot this gun horribly. Now, this gun performed great. I didn't have any issues whatsoever. I really do like the LEM trigger. The only thing I wish they would add to it would be a manual safety. But I know some people are saying with the LEM trigger, you don't need that. But for me, it just doesn't look right without a manual safety or something back here. And I kind of wish they offered it with that option. But the gun performed well. Ran hollow points. I could shoot it fast. Good concealed carry piece, but it's definitely not a range or target gun for me. Recoil was fine. Everything about it was fine. It was just, I just didn't shoot it well. Okay? So that's the HK P30SK. And then finally, I went over to the rifle range, the indoor rifle range, and I shot the Q Mini Fix. Now, I was curious how I was going to shoot this gun, because it is a bolt action. Well, right now it is a pistol because it has a pistol brace. However, it's functionally a rifle, right? I mean, that's the way everyone's going to shoot it. It's a bolt action rifle, essentially. And of course, if you own one of these, you can SBR and put on a real stock. So this was kind of a surprise for me, both in a good and a bad way. The good things about it is that it is a really cool design and concept, and I really feel like if you were going to own this gun, it is like the perfect survival backpacking gun. You can fold the stock or the brace. It only has a 8 or 9 inch barrel, 300 Blackout. This thing is fantastic for probably, you know, game hunting, that kind of thing. If you're in a survival situation, because it's bolt action, you could run supersonic, subsonic through it. You can suppress it, no problem. You're not going to have any function issues. Feeds from a standard magazine. Has AR style controls. The trigger in it is great. So the concept of it, I think, is cool. I think it's a little bit on the niche side. I don't think this is a gun that many people are going to be clamoring for because they might not have a need for it besides being a range toy, and unless they're looking for a backpacking bolt action gun. Now, when it comes to the downside of this, this is not as accurate as I was hoping that it would be. I mean, I was able to, at 100 yards, get 20 rounds about this big at 100 yards. Now, when I shoot like the Knight's Armament or the LMTs, I get them down to about this. Here, they were about that. And that was about the best that I could do. Now, granted, the scope only goes up to about 8 power, but I could see the target clearly. It just was not as accurate. And I think some of that has to do with the barrel length and the caliber. So 300 Blackout, and I know people are going to say, you can shoot these things out to 500 yards and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's not the kind of shooter I am. I still think this size at 100 yards is pretty good, okay? I'm pretty happy with that. But it wasn't as accurate as I was hoping that it would be. And I think it's just the shorter barrel. I really do. But of course, at 100 yards, this size is perfectly fine. And I'm sure some of it had to do with the ammunition that I was using. I was kind of using a hodgepodge of 300 Blackout. I have a lot of the Arms Corps 300 Blackout, which I have some issues with Arms Corps ammunition. Sometimes it works. I thought that I would use it on this range trip because this is bolt action, so I didn't have to worry about cycling. I believe, based off of what I was feeling in my shoulders, I kind of feel like it was loaded all over the place. I really feel like there was a big discrepancy between the ones that were obviously loaded a little bit hotter and the ones that were a little bit less. I think one thing I need to buy in the near future is Garmin makes one of those, what is it, the things that, like chronographs, but it uses like radar to like chronograph. I think I'm going to have to pick up one of those. They're a few $100, but I think for these range reports, it's going to be really important for me to do. And I know people buy it that are reloaders. I'm not really a reloader, but I think having a chronograph would really help as well. But the ammunition I used with this was, I said, a hodgepodge, a lot of Arms Corps. That could have been what the issue is. So I said 100 yards, this big consistently. Once I got the scope dialed in, happy with that. And it does recoil more than I was expecting. I guess I'm just used to 300 Blackout and AR-15s, and they're so soft shooting. They're like 22 rifles. This thing kind of digs into your shoulder after about 150 rounds or so. And this brace that comes with it, and I'm not sure if this is the one that Cube puts out. I don't know. I don't know if it's marked. I'm gonna see if there's anything under this brace. No, I don't see it, but it mates up to this thing fine. I'll have to ask D, who lent this to the channel. It matches the gun well, but it's not the most comfortable one, and it does recoil a lot more than I was expecting, just because it's bolt action. So accuracy on this is okay. Concept is really, really cool, but it's a niche gun. I'm trying to think. Function-wise, I did have some issues with this gun function-wise. And the problem was when I would open the bolt, okay, so let's just say I shot a round or two, and I'm going to go for my third shot. I open the bolt, and it won't always close. It always, not always, sometimes it would get stuck, and I would have to pull the gun away, take my hand off it, look into the chamber Sometimes the round coming out of the magazine, I think, was getting caught in the feed ramp, and then other times I couldn't figure out. I would just try to close it and would get stuck, and you'll see this on the camera, and I have to go like this, and then it will close. So this isn't the most reliable bolt and the easiest bolt to operate I have ever seen. And it was only on close. It was not on open. So it was always, boom, open it up, gonna load the next round, and it go about that far. It would like click or it just would not go. And then I had to take my head off the brace and then kind of move it over here, jiggle it around, and it would finally go. So that happened quite a lot. And I guess by a lot, I'll say 5 or 6 times. But I expected a little bit better from that. But pretty cool. Pretty cool, definitely. I really feel like this would be a great platform with a longer barrel. I think they call that just the fix. This is the mini fix, the short one. I really feel like the full length barrel, you know, if you can get one of these in 16 inches or longer, I really feel like it would be a much more accurate firearm. And I think even with a 16-inch barrel with a folding stock, I guess at 16 inches you could have a stock without NFA paperwork, it would still be a relatively compact package. And I think that would be the way to go. So in my personal opinion, okay, and this is what I'm probably gonna say in the review, if you're in the market for a Q fix and you're looking at the mini fix or the fix, I haven't shot the full size one yet, but my gut tells me you're probably going to want to go with the full size one if you're going in 300 Blackout. I noticed that the mini fix and the more powerful rifle cartridges have longer barrels. So 14 inches, 13 inches, and so forth. But the 300 Blackout, granted, this is all you need ballistically. I still think the longer barrel would be the way to go. I think you're going to get a little bit better accuracy out of it. And I think it's going to be a more balanced gun. That would just be my personal opinion on this. So if this was a gun that I was interested in, and honestly, it kind of interests me a little bit, I would get like a non-NFA version. I would get a 16-inch barrel version of the fix, and it'd probably be a pretty darn sweet shooting bolt action gun. I like their mechanism back here, with the exception of that problem I have with how it closes, but it's pretty smooth. And I'm assuming, based off of the trigger and looking down into this, I believe this is cock on open is what this is. So I think maybe it is. Yeah, I think it's a cock on open. I still haven't taken it apart, but because I think it's a hammer. I think it's a hammer. I could be wrong. I don't know. Anyway. I haven't looked into the mechanism of how it operates yet. But from a shooting standpoint, a little bit tiresome on your shoulder. Not as accurate as I was hoping. But it's a cool design, niche gun. So there you go. That is how all 3 of the guns that I took to the range today shot. Kind of my initial impressions on them. By far, the winner of today's range trip is the AMT Automag III and .30 carbine. This thing is cool, and I did not think I would come away from this review going, I really like this. This is a really cool gun, and it ran perfectly for me. Ran perfect. It's definitely cool. And as I said, this one here, I'm going to have to give a caveat because I know there's going to be a lot of first-time viewers to my channel when this thing's released, and they're going to look at my groupings, especially at like 12 and 15 yards, and go, you got to get more training. Okay? I'll ban them. I will ban them. Do not tell me that. Don't. I know people are going to want to say it. I know it. They're going to be so tempted. They're going to be so tempted to say it. But I'm not going to let them. Don't do it. Because, you know, I have a personal P30SK, but it's the variant 1, the one with the safety, and it's and the decocker in the back, and it's double action, single action. And I shoot that one great. I shoot that gun really well. This one I do not, so it could be the trigger, and it also could be the grip size. This is how Jack had it set up. I think I like the back part to be a little bit thinner. I don't know what this is. This is probably the large. I typically prefer the medium or the small, even though it's a subcompact gun. The back strap. That's what I was trying to think there. So anyway, that's what's going on with the guns I reviewed today. So what do you guys think? Do you guys own any of these or ever shot any of these? And do your experiences with these guns mirror mine? And tell me if you own any of the HKs with the LEM trigger, and did it take you guys a while to get used to it? So there you go. So what is the word of the day? What's the word of the day? Today's word is going to be range. Range, because I went to the range and I had a good time. I had a good time. No catastrophic problems, no main big issues. The AMT ran great. The Q Mini fix is good. This one, I'm just going to have to lecture people and say, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say I need to go get more training when you see me shoot this thing like crap. But functionally, it ran fine. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for joining me here in the garage. I always love talking guns with you guys and getting your insights, because you guys help me and teach me as much as hopefully I teach you. So we learn from each other, and it's a great community we have here at the Texas Gun Vault. So, as always, thanks for watching.